I trust you.
Hello, this is Marsha Lecour with Marshas Moments with Men with special guest Frank Caruso. Hello, Frank. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. How are things with you?
Greetings. Other than a few technical glitches, we're good to go.
Great. So let's start right in. Tell us about the work you do and if you are aligned with your passion and purpose with this work that you're currently involved with.
Okay. Well, I'm a actor, writer, director, producer, and photographer. I've been doing this for a very long time. Very long time. I used to be a musician too, and I played accordion when I was a kid. And it was great. I got to grade 8 in accordion. I really loved it, from an Italian background. And well, actually, I was born in Italy. And then when I went to go to high school, I checked out all the high schools in my hometown of North Bay. And I asked, I want to join a band, right? So I called Algonquin Secondary School. And the guy laughed. He says, "We have a marching band. I don't think an accordion would fit in." I said, "Oh, okay." So then I called Chippewa, and Chippewa said, "Well, we have a symphony orchestra. I don't think an accordion would fit in." So I wanted to go into Scholar Hall where they had no music program whatsoever. So I don't know what that was all about. So I traded in my accordion for a guitar, which was worth nothing. Of course, my father was furious with me, but that was the end of my accordion days. There was no market for accordion players, but anyway, that's life. So I switched over to other artistic endeavors. So.
And so tell us more about how you got into the line of work that you're currently doing.
It was basically evolution. I mean, when I was always interested in the arts. I used to watch I Love Lucy, and I always thought I'd laugh my head off. That was a great show. And I thought, I want to be involved in entertainment. No, I didn't have any great plans about being an actor, right? No. I just wanted to be in the entertainment industry because it would just, for some reason, it just attracted me. So I was always attracted to that sort of thing. So I slowly got involved, of course, music, and then I got involved in high school theater. And then I opened up a nightclub, more like a teenage nightclub in North Bay, and we had folk singing, and we had very creative things. We had besides folk singing, we also had poetry nights, and then of course we had bands. One thing led to another, and eventually I wound up opening a theater in North Bay. It's called Caruso's Cabaret, and I started doing more producing and directing. And that's where I actually started directing and producing. Honestly, before that, I was always involved in other people's projects, and then I woke up one morning and decided I wanted to make a movie, just for no particular reason. I just decided I wanted to make a movie. As you know me, I'm very impulsive. So I made a few phone calls. I was still living up north at the time, and I had a friend in Toronto who was an actor, and he said, "Yeah, I have some friends who are making a movie, but they don't have any money." I said, "That's fine." I called them up, and I told them I had no experience whatsoever. They said, "Well, if you're willing to work for free, come on down." So I did. I worked on this movie for free for 6 weeks. Now, I learned a lot from it. At the end of it, I still didn't know how to make a movie, but I sure learned what not to do. And learning what not to do is very important. Okay, I could write a whole book about that experience. And then less than a year later, I decided I was going to make my own movie, and I did. First feature film totally shot in North Bay back in 1990, 91. It's called No Angel. And I got a whole bunch of wonderful angel investors. And we made it. And it's still on the air somewhere as we speak. And then from there, I started getting more and more into, it's called catching the bug. And I call it a virus. Some people call it a bug. But anyway, you get that whole itch. You need to do something creative. And that's what happened. I started writing more. And for No Angel, I wrote the screenplay. First time I ever wrote a screenplay. For me, it was the first of everything. First time I produced a film, first time screenplay, first time director. I had no clue what I was doing. And maybe that was a blessing. Because as you get older and wiser, you start thinking, you start thinking of all the consequences of not knowing what you're doing. But when you're totally naive, like I was, I didn't think of the consequences. But you know what? It got finished, turned out, and we sold to 24 countries. So, and also aired on A&E, my first feature film. So overall, it was pretty good.
That's very good.
Yeah, but the first one was, like I say, it's like going out golfing and get a hole in one the first time, strictly fluke. And then it actually got harder after that, because you start to overthink everything, and like, okay, how do you top your last project? And but you muddle your way through, and eventually I have 12 producer credits now, and 7 movies of my own, and the other ones I worked as a hired gun as a producer in the other ones, and it's been a ride. It's been a real ride.
Now, do you think currently you're following your passion and your purpose?
Well, sure. I'd love to do more of it. I kind of fell off a cliff the last little while, but I'm getting back on again. And but I sort of switched from film to photography a couple of years ago, and I'll tell you the reason. It's a very selfish reason. It's self gratification. It's instant gratification. I can shoot for an hour, and less than an hour later, I can post these things on social media. With a movie, you make a movie, and sometimes it's 2 years, even longer, before you see the finished result. And it's a long wait, and very costly, very expensive to make. No guarantee it's going to succeed, and it's a tough marketplace out there. So I'm still doing what I love, which is art. As long as I'm doing something artistic, I'm fine. I've written 4 screenplays over the last 2 years, so that's okay too. I just rewrote a screenplay that was with 2 other cohorts, and we're hoping we can get the funding. We'll be shooting up in Northern Ontario. We were hoping this year, but it's too late now. Hopefully next year we'll be shooting it. So I'm still in the game. I like to do more, but getting financial assistance is extremely difficult for film projects, and it's a tough game, and a lot of people are doing it, so it's a crapshoot. But I'm still in the game. I still want to make more movies.
Now, when you say Northern Ontario, are you talking about going back to North Bay or some other northern location?
Well, North Bay, because obviously I'm from there, and I know people there, and I know all the locations, and all the wilderness in the area I'm very familiar with. So it's also a story that takes place in Northern Ontario, so it's perfect. Yeah.
Now, can you get funding from people that you know up there?
Well, we're trying to. I mean, getting private investment is it's important, but there's also government agencies, and there's the Northern Heritage grant that we applied for, and whether we get it or not, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people apply for it, and there's tax credits, producer tax credits, all this sort of thing. But I'm working with a distributor right now who's also going to come on board as a producer, and we're going to try to see if we can get it off the ground. So if we do, that's fantastic. If we don't, life goes on, and I pick up my trusty camera and I go and shoot.
So you're a commercial photographer.
Well, I started off as a hobby photographer, and now I'm getting people actually paying me to do things. And I'm also promoting Angela, my fiance. She's a singer, songwriter, and a pianist, and she's fabulous. As you know, you've heard her. And so I'm helping promote her. So I basically kind of follow her around and take photos so she can promote herself on social media. So that's a lot of fun too. But I also do things like headshots and commercial shoots, video. I do video projects. I did a major one back in November for an East Indian actor who's trying to promote himself back in his home country in North America. And that video is going to be released very soon. And it was like shooting a feature film, and we did a lot of shooting. So I'm still very active.
Now, if people want to get in touch with you to have you create a project for them, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, my website, carusofilms.com, CARUSOFILMS.com. That's plural.com. Films, that is. And all the information on there. My phone number's there. My email address is on there. And and I do have a few side projects where people have approached me about their particular projects, and I'm trying to help them out. So I'm very open. If somebody has a project, give me a call, because I have a lot of experience and I can help in a lot of different ways.
Now, let's go on a different tangent here. So tell us about, from your perspective as a man, what are the issues and challenges that men face today?
It's a good question. I don't know if men have. I don't feel that men have issues that women don't have. We all have red blood in our systems, and our emotions are pretty much, I don't know. I've worked with a lot of women in my life. You know, I used to run bars, restaurants, and of course theater, and I'd say 80% of my employees were female. And you know, you sort of get to know how. And by the way, in high school, all my teachers were female. So I and my mother was the boss in my house. So I was kind of always used to having a female dominated or living in a female dominated, you know, atmosphere. So it's never bothered me. I don't, anybody who knows me, I talk the same way around, around women as I do around men. I don't change my speech patterns or talk down to women in any way. At least I hope I don't. So I don't know. I don't think in those terms. I don't think in terms of male, female. I just think if there's a person in front of me, whether a man or a woman. If you were a Martian, I guess I'd probably treat you the same way. I don't know. So it's a difficult question for me to respond to because I don't feel I don't feel that there's any. I don't feel any difference. I'm sure a lot of women would disagree and say, yeah, but women have it tougher than men. I'll tell you a little story. Okay, I'm sorry, my throat's a little clogged. Years ago, I had this Eastern European woman come to visit me in my studio. And she was complaining bitterly about the fact that she was being mistreated because she was a woman. She was trying to get into production. She was a woman. She had an accent. She was from Eastern Europe, all the above. And I said, okay, I listened to her very patiently. And then I said, okay, how long have you been here? About maybe an hour to an hour and a half easily. I said, is my phone ringing? Is anybody on my door trying to break the door down? I said, I'm male. I said, I have experience. I've done a lot of projects, theater, film, and nobody's beating the door down. In other words, if you don't get off your butt and do it yourself, nobody's going to do it for you because that's what you're asking for. I know you think because you're a woman or because you're from Eastern Europe, because you have an accent, that you're being persecuted somehow. I said, that's absolute nonsense. Some people may believe it. I feel sorry for them. I got a phone call from her about 6 to 7 months later. She just opened up a studio up in Danforth. This was years ago. And she thanked me for kicking her butt, giving her the realities of life. So, you know, I don't go for all this victim mentality nonsense. I just don't go for it because I know a lot of women who succeeded, totally success stories, and they went out and they did it on their own without crying, complaining, and whining. So I just don't buy into that whole thing. That whole victim mentality doesn't work for me. In a way, we can argue we're all victims in one way, shape, or form, but I don't buy it. You wake up in the morning, it's your choice. You do what you love, and you keep doing it, and eventually you succeed. Some people succeed quicker than others, but eventually you will succeed. That's my belief.
Well, let me ask you a different question.
Okay. I didn't answer your question, maybe. I don't know.
There's some feedback here. So, again, coming back to men, do you think there are any specific health challenges that men face?
I suppose. I mean, we all have health challenges. Men, I think a lot of men I know, especially my age, are overweight. A lot of them, you know, drinking, smoking, and not looking after themselves. But I don't know. I mean, that's all. It's been this way forever. I'm having a hard time answering your question because again, I just see people. You know what I mean? I just see people. I don't see male, female. Although I'm human, and if I see an attractive woman, I'm going to look at her like you would look at an attractive man. But outside of that, women have a lot of health issues, and men have a lot of health issues. And I think we should approach life as we as a unit. I'm totally against segregating the sexes. You know, we are people. You know, going on about one sex being better than the other, or one sex being, I don't know, somehow being persecuted or whatever. I just don't see that. That's me. I'm just speaking on a personal level. There are people out there who disagree with me because everybody has different experiences in life, and I respect that. My experiences are my own. And I just see people in front of me. So I can't sort of say as a man, this is what I feel. I say as a human being, this is what I feel. I think that's fair.
That's fair. one final question.
Sure.
What's one powerful tip that you want to leave for men from your perspective?
Back to men. Well, as be respectful. And when I say that, I say be respectful to everybody. I mean, you know, there's a lot of course, there's been a lot of things about the Me Too movement and of course, Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein. What a lot of people may not realize is that Harvey Weinstein was an equal opportunity abuser. I've followed his career for many years. Sexually speaking, yes, he abused women, but on other levels, he abused men to a great extent. If you didn't agree with him, if you didn't do what he wanted, he would make sure you didn't work again. So there was a general abuse. Of course, with women, of course, he abused them. He abused them in a different way. But he was an equal opportunity abuser. He was just an abusive human being. I don't feel much sympathy. Now, having said that, we're all human beings. We've all done stuff in the past that, you know, that maybe we shouldn't have done and we should be ashamed of and all this sort of thing. But what we're talking about here is a consistently persistent abuse. And yeah, it's not good. And on a professional level, that it's a no-no on a professional level. Yeah, I always, you know, when I work with people in film industry, I always tell them, you know, whatever you want to do after the film's over, knock yourself out. While we're shooting a film, no hanky-panky, no nonsense, because I won't go for it at all. You're gone. So yeah, we have to be good to each other. That's it.
That's a good note to end on. I want to thank you, Frank, for joining us here today on Marsha's Moments with Men.
Thanks,
Great having you on as a guest. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.